SEC. This week, we're doing the Big Ten. No surprise to any that Ohio State is an overwhelming favorite to win this conference this year.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, it feels like this conference is always Ohio State and everybody else, but it feels more like Ohio State and everybody else this year. Like,
they're minus 225. Minus 225. The next closest is Michigan plus 900, Wisconsin plus 1400. The one that caught my eye was Nebraska having better title odds than Penn State and Iowa and Michigan State. Michigan State's way down here at plus 3,000, which is pretty wild to me.
Yeah, that Michigan State at plus 3,000 was definitely the one that caught my eye. And then I started thinking about it. It's like, well, it's kind of like we've talked about with the SEC East and SEC West. It's like Tennessee probably has a better chance than a lot of the people in the West just because they have a better shot of coming out of the East kind of thing. So I get why Nebraska and Wisconsin and Iowa and Purdue all would have better chances than Michigan State, but I'm confused how Nebraska is so close to the top of that list. Like,
people like Nebraska, man. They were the best 3-9 team in football last year. A bunch of close,
best 3-9 team of all time.
Yes, you bring in Casey Thompson in the portal. You replace Adrian Martinez. You bring in Mark Whipple, the OC, who unlocked Kenny Pickett at Pitt this past year. I don't know. There's a lot of reasons for optimism with the Black Shirts, and they're in the right division. That's part of Michigan State's problem, is they're in the wrong division. And Nebraska has a pretty, they have a good path where they end the season with Iowa, that's their new rival, and then they have Wisconsin. Like, they beat Wisconsin, they can go into that Iowa game, with the Big Ten conference game right there on the line. I don't know. I could see it. Nebraska being that high up, I'm buying the Nebraska Kool-Aid. I am buying the Kool-Aid, Matt Green.
That's fair. They do have at Michigan, at Iowa. There's at Purdue. I think Purdue is the one when I look at all these teams, because like you said, it's so Ohio State versus the field.
Yeah.
But so if I'm going to pick anyone else, it's going to be from a team from the West. And Purdue, looking at their schedule, they get Penn State at home to open the season on a Thursday night. That's the best team they play from the East. Who else is in the East? Indiana. They have the final week of the season, and they go at Maryland. Those are the worst teams in the Big Ten East. They play basically nobody out of conference, like Syracuse, Florida Atlantic. I don't know how good Purdue's gonna be. And then if you look at them, they're playing at Wisconsin. That's definitely the toughest game. But they get a lot of these tougher games at home. So, including Nebraska. So, including Iowa. So, I think Purdue is kind of, if I'm taking a long shot on somebody, I kind of like Purdue. Although it's surprising to see them at worse odds or at better odds than Iowa. Because Iowa, you just kind of know what to expect at Iowa.
Well, it depends on Spencer Petras, and I don't know, the uncertainty there, and he's competing with Alex Padilla for that starter job, but they lose your guy Goodson, North Gwinnett legend, but I don't know. Iowa's offense was just so bad last year that we'll have to see if that offense figures it out. And have they ever gone back-to-back conference title games in the Big Ten?
They have not. I was actually going to ask you some trivia about who has made the most conference title games in the Big Ten. In the Big Ten since its inception in 2011.
So am I just starting, what order?
Two teams are tied for 6 apiece.
Oh, Ohio State, Wisconsin.
That is correct. And then one team's got 3, and then 2 more teams have 2.
Northwestern, do they have 3 or 2?
They have 2.
Okay. Iowa's got 2. Right?
Iowa's got 2, this past year, and then one of the early ones, Michigan State. I think the year Michigan
State. That's right, because okay.
Oh shoot, I blew that.
What?
Yeah, I said one of the answers.
Yeah, Michigan State, but I had to think about it. I was like, I know Penn State. It's just kind of weird that Penn State's just never been involved in any of this.
Yeah, they have their one, and then Iowa Yeah, so Michigan State's the one that's been to 3 Big Ten championships, and then Michigan, Nebraska, and Penn State have all been to 1. And I guess all of those teams have won one except for Iowa, Northwestern, and Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels like Ohio State just dominates the conference, but there is a little more parity than we might give the Big Ten credit for. But lots of times it feels like it's just Ohio State not taking care of business, right?
Yeah.
It's just they inexplicably just lose to someone they shouldn't lose to.
Don't throw your money on this game or on this conference. Don't throw your money on anybody other than the Buckeyes. Like you're throwing money away. This is one of the more wrapped up conferences to me. I would be absolutely floored if this Ohio State team did not win the Big Ten this year. It would absolutely.
If you have to put $100 of your own money on this, who you going?
Ohio State.
See, I'm a risk taker. See, I'm gonna take Purdue for that big payout.
Their best receiver got ruled academically ineligible.
No, I'm just joking. I would definitely take Ohio State, but you got to look at those odds.
I mean, the payout is Wisconsin. Like that's the payout. Like the safest one is like a Wisconsin type deal. Death taxes Wisconsin winning 10+ games.
That's probably true, but Wisconsin's not going to win the Big Ten.
Yeah, maybe Penn State if you're all in on year 19 of Sean Clifford.
That's probably the best value, honestly. Plus 1,700. They have an actual chance, but they're like we said. This is C.J. Stroud. This is Ohio.
And
State's
I love
conference.
what we've moved on from Michigan. That's a blip, but it's like if J.J. McCarthy's awesome, then like
it definitely
they did
feels
just
like
beat
a
Ohio
blip.
State.
They did. It feels like a blip. It felt like the stars aligned for that year. Like I mean, the offense wasn't very good, so like.
They lost both.
There's room for improvement. Like, yeah, there's room for improvement. So it's not like if you were just an incredible team the entire season and you still couldn't win the national championship, then maybe it's not meant to be. But there is definitely room for improvement. Like that Michigan team wasn't just so good they could never recreate that. I do wonder about how talented they were defensively. Like you're not going to see many Michigan teams that are that talented defensively, but yeah, we do definitely write Michigan off. But I don't know. I think it's partly because it seemed fluky, but it's partly just because Ohio State just seems that good.
Now I want to pull something up. Hold on, I'm going to pull this up with Michigan. I was looking. Hold on. Where did it go? Let's see. I'm going to find them. Hold on. Dead air. Where did it go? Because it was kind of wild. It caught me off guard, like how low they were. Penn State was 90th in scoring offense this past year.
Wow.
Michigan,
makes sense.
They were 16th, but what were they in? Where is it? Was it this where they were? Where it popped off the page to me? Oh yeah. True or false? Michigan had a worse passing offense than Troy, Duke, and Auburn last year.
I'm gonna say true.
It is true.
Wow. I mean, McNamara threw like 12 touchdowns. Like, I mean, that's why I start to say
I see 21 touchdowns, 9 picks
for McNamara.
I guess it's everybody involved.
That's got to be
McCarthy.
the team, right? Yeah, because I was thinking McNamara didn't throw a lot of picks. I was thinking I would have said like a 12-2 kind of stat line for him.
I'm looking at their quarterback rating. Their quarterback rating was 48th. Not an elite offense. They were not humming. The Western Kentucky numbers are hilarious.
15-6 is what he was. Full
so McCarthy had to be the other ones.
I guess he did throw a couple picks in that Orange Bowl game. That kind of hurt that stat line.
We don't talk about that. Western Kentucky, did you see this? 63 TDs and 12 picks for Bailey Zappi last year.
Yeah, he was absurd. Like, where did he end up going?
The Pats.
Tom Brady?
Yeah.
2.0?
Oh, you won't get this, though. There's no way you get this. All right.
Okay.
The top 2 teams in yards per attempt passing-wise, we'll end on this. Here's some trivia for you. The top 2 teams in yards per attempt through the air this past season was who?
Coastal Carolina.
Very close. Coastal was 3 at 10.7 yards per attempt.
And I bet Georgia was up there too, right? Like 4th or 5th?
They're 6th.
Okay. I don't know. Who you got?
Hold on. I got you. Hold on.
Is it Tennessee? Air Force. Okay.
Air Force number 2, but number 1.
Is it someone that attempted like 65 passes on the season?
Close. The Army Black
There you
Knights,
go.
number 1. Shout out to our guy, Jeff Monken. 11.2 yards per attempt. They threw the ball 110 times, completed 54% of their passes. Air Force completed 48% of their passes. 11 total TDs for Army, 8 through the air. There were 8 passing touchdowns. The Air Force played more games than they threw touchdowns.
Wow. That's go big or go home, I guess.
Shout out to our
They're
servicemen.
hitting for big plays.
Yeah, I love it. Go big or go home. The armed forces. Shout out to them.
Shout out to Johnny Tsunami as well.
We should always
for
shout
that
out
reference.
Yeah. I was about to say Soul Skaters, but that's a Brink reference. What was
Brink. Now that's a classic right there.
what did they say? Boyo. He said Boyo to his grandson, but I thought they had urchins.
They did have some kind of little
Like,
surfer thing.
But
I can't remember what they said.
We're too old. I don't remember what.
I remember
was.
go big or go home.
Yeah.
That's the extent of my Johnny Tsunami. And I remember his uncle
Yes.
was the guy that was like the bad guy from
In
Mortal
Mortal
Kombat.
Kombat.
And I
Yes.
just couldn't unsee that. It's like that dude was scary as hell in Mortal Kombat. And it's like, this guy's just some chill surfer, bro. I can't unsee you as I don't even remember what his name was. I remember Goro was the one that had the 4 arms.
Yeah.
But
I don't
he was
remember
like
either.
Goro's master. I don't even know what that guy's role was, but he was scary.
Matt Green, your soul is mine. No.
Classic.
I saw the new one in theaters with the fiance last year. I remember it was entertaining. Matt Green,
I think I went to two separate Halloweens as a kid. Once as Scorpion, and another time as Sub-Zero. So big Mortal Kombat guy.
I was a big Power Rangers guy. I was like a lot of different Power Rangers. And then
Did go as a Power Ranger one time as well.
That was my jam. I was a diehard Power Ranger guy, coming home from school and watching that every 3:30, and that, and then Big Bad Beetleborgs back to back. It was the only way I could unwind.
Beetleborgs.
It was an icon. Some iconic theme songs. Big Bad Beetleborgs, and it's morphin' time. Matt Green.
Forgot about Beetleborgs. That's a really you got the obscure references for sure.
It's not going anywhere, Matt Green. I tell people, I'm like, my brain's full. Like, I just have so much useless crap floating around in here that, like, I never know when I'm going to use it. I never thought I'd bring up Big Bad Beetleborgs on this podcast.
I did randomly see Street Sharks the other day. Do you remember Street Sharks?
Yeah.
That was an obscure.
They were cool.
But also, this guy's name was Shang Tsung in Mortal Kombat. So I see his name written, and I don't think that character is in the video game. So I think he was just a movie character. I think that's why I don't remember him like Kano or Johnny Cage or one of these guys.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't remember. I never played those games really growing up. I was more like, I just did Crash Bandicoot, and I played a lot of like computer games. So like my time was like, I spent a bunch of time on Roller Coaster Tycoon. Loved Roller Coaster Tycoon. Built a lot of badass theme parks that I'll never see again. All that work in the lab cooking up some dope theme parks, just gone forever.
Every time you make a good one, it gets too extreme for the people, though. That's what always frustrated me about it.
It was so addicting, though, building the perfect theme park and all that. And then
Mortal Kombat was the Sega Genesis era, I feel like. And after PlayStation, like the Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah, I had that Spyro.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then I just started playing sports games after that. So.
True. And then Backyard Baseball, though. That was the other one. I played a lot of Backyard Baseball. Pablo Sanchez is a legend. We stand Pablo Sanchez. Clutchest hitter in baseball history. My guy. I hope he's up to good things these days because he's all grown up now. That man was 8 years old in 1995. Matt Green, we can find you on Twitter at Matt_W_Green. And I will talk to you next week.